for your insights, and thank you to all our witnesses for your work in this area. It's essential. I yield back.
Thank you. I now recognize Mr. Wilson from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and indeed, we are so grateful for each of the witnesses today. It's so informative, and it's also so encouraging to see the bipartisanship today with Chairman Self, with Ranking Member Keating, as indeed War Colonel Putin is being exposed for his conduct around the world. As Chairman of the Helsinki Commission, I issued a report on Russian so-called hybrid attacks, including terrorism, sabotage, explosives on Allied infrastructure. In the report, details are for 200 different subversive and direct kinetic attacks on the West. This number has multiplied, and War Colonel Putin has been emboldened, murdering civilians across Ukraine, destroying Ukrainian utilities to freeze the Ukrainians as Stalin froze the Ukrainians by way of starvation. I ask unanimous consent to include this report in the record.
Without objection.
I'm really grateful that Donald Trump is reinstituting peace through strength, revealing War Colonel Putin lies, insulting and mocking Trump, as the New York Post has editorialized last week. Quote, Putin sent Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner packing with yet more aerial assaults on Ukrainian civilians. American support for Ukraine is growing, end of quote. With that in mind, we're aware of the ongoing attacks on U.S. infrastructure, and Mr. Singleton, how do we respond proportionately and in kind to deter these attacks, and how do we respond to the complicit Chinese Communist Party along with the regime in Tehran that calls for death to America?
No, thank you, sir. I mean, I think as we were talking about, how do we define gray zone? We should view it as, I think Senator Ricketts and Senator Coons do. I think it's helpful framing for this question. They call it illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive. And I think those four qualities capture what we're talking about Chinese pre-positioning here on our electrical grids and throughout our critical infrastructure. Of course, the first is better defense, but we need to increasingly start to evaluate opportunities for offense. And it goes beyond DOJ indictments and potentially sanctions against Chinese companies. We need to work collectively with our partners and friends to share intelligence about what we're doing and impose real costs, whether that's going after Chinese banks, going after different parts of the Chinese government. At this stage, Marxist-Leninists have a phrase, if you feel mush, push. And I think at this point, we haven't sent the correct message about deterrence and what we're willing to do and perhaps not do to protect our networks.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Walker, a great fake myth of Russian disinformation info operations paints War Colonel Putin as a defender of Christian values. In reality, there is no freedom of religion, and evangelizing of Christianity is illegal in Russia. Only religions that are subordinate to the Russian state are allowed. According to a Forbes article, Putin runs the Russian state and the Russian church too. Patriarch Kirill was a long-time, unbelievably, long-time KGB agent for maybe 20 years in Switzerland. The thought that he would be patriarch, to me, is inconceivable. He blesses bombs on civilians and justifies kidnapping children. Russia explicitly murders Christians in Ukraine. Protestants are targeted in particular as they associate with America. There is a review of Faith Under Attack in Ukraine by Fourth Sign Productions by Colby Barrett, and I ask unanimous consent to include this review for the record.
Without objection.
And with that in mind, Mr. Walker, how do we support Christians who are targets of the Putin state? How do we counteract the state control of the Russian Orthodox Church?
So this is a critical question. I think what I would focus on here is what was implicit in the first part of your question. That is the Russian state under Vladimir Putin, who's now entering his fourth decade in power, is very adept at strategic narratives in suggesting to the wider world that there is religious freedom in that country. Of course, there's not. And this is something that he's played to his advantage in certain instances. While attacking Christians in Ukraine, it's really a sleight of hand that he's been masterful at projecting beyond Russia's borders.
And indeed, it's really sad in studying Russian history sadly, the state, whether it be under czars, under the Soviet Union, and now continuing, there's been a subversion of the state, of the church, and we only wish for freedom ultimately for the people of Russia. Thank you.